There we go. Recording. Hi, I'm Rick DiClemente with StarSelf.com and Astrology Unplugged. Welcome. And good to have you tonight. We're going to be talking a lot about Uranus and Pluto, but to let you know, if you would like to be involved in next week's discussion or any Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, simply go to my website, starself.com/unplugged. And we call ourselves the Unpluggers. We don't really know why, but we're unplugged from something. We unplug from everything on Thursday nights, and we come here and we hide. So I guess that's what we're unplugged from. Some exciting things coming. My good partner, whose real name is Cheryl Christ and pen name is Eliza Jane Brown, is going to do us a great favor and be the main guest next week, talking on death and dying. And she gave me a note that says she will share ideas about astrological, philosophic, spiritual, and practical aspects of death and dying and grief. She spent a long career helping with hospice as a social worker, so she knows a lot about it. I'm not going to put words in her mouth because she knows much better how it all goes. I will be emceeing. She will be on next Thursday night, February 1st. The phone lines will be open to you with all your questions. So if you do have friends or relatives, give them the web link. Next Thursday will be her talking especially about helping people to pass over in all aspects. She's done a lot of Zen training. So I'll let her say her own words, but that's going to be the topic. Graciously, Greg Keene has agreed to move back to once every 6 months instead of once every 3 months. The Reverend Psychic medium out of Lilydale. In the old days, he was on once a month with me, and we've had him on once every 3 months. But I'm having so many desires for so many different kind of guests. He will be on every 6 months. His next appearance will be in June. In March, we're going to have the phenomenal Todd Foster, who's phenomenal reverend, spiritual reverend, phenomenal Reiki master. And I mean Reiki master. He does nothing but that. He also is miraculous with the pendulum. Any kind of question. He uses the pendulum for everything. So he will be talking a lot. He's brilliant. He just cleared our new house through remote distance, and he will be taking your questions. Also in April, we're going to have the phenomenal Rebecca Bloom on, for another Pittsburgher, who will be talking about her career as a tarot reader. And I'm talking about she makes these cards jump. So she'll be really good. And one of the things that's interesting about that, before I get into tonight's program, is I want to show you what I found. My Astro Dice. I found my Astro Dice. Okay, and they're listed on the internet for $3.50. There's one with 12 sides or 10 sides, one for each planet, 12 side and one for each sign, and 1 through 12, the 12 houses. Now, they're on. You can go to Amazon. You can go other places. Don't get ripped off, but I'll show you here. I'll show you here a screen that I found on Amazon with $3.50. You can get the Astro Dice. This is how they look. Now, let me tell you about them. I once did a party on a floating riverboat near the Three Rivers of Pittsburgh. I'm going to roll them. And hopefully tonight I can roll them, but I want to use these the evening when Rebecca's on, because I'm going to compare their liveliness to how the tarot reads. But anyhow, I've had these particular ones for a long time, and they did not work. They just didn't work. And then I bought another pair, which is the one you see, and another 3 of them. They wouldn't work at all. Then I came back to these, and all of a sudden they've been jumping. And boom, 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 boom. Now, what's so good about these? You can use them for a parlor game if you want to. But what's really good about them is they really make you think. Now, I don't care whether you like it or not, but you're learning astrology. You've got to continuously learn how to mix metaphors, how to mix archetypes together. That's what these do. And what I found the best with these is not a yes-no question, but what's the best way to handle this? What should I be informed about my daughter? What is really going on in the situation with my son? And then you roll the 3 dice, and you get a planet in a sign and in a house. And of course, we would all interpret it differently. But like I said, I used them for years and they wouldn't work. I wasn't in sync with them. Then all of a sudden they did. Then I did this riverboat party of 200 people. All one reading. Well, I can't do 200 readings. So I got my astro dice out and they all got one question. I was tired when it was over. It was nice floating up and down the aisle. But they really stretch your mind. And they also, you're just going to continually get slapped in the face in astrology or any of these sciences if you've got predispositions. If you think you know what the answer is going to be, you're just going to get slapped in the face. So you just got, it forces you to be humble. And it educates you. And it really stretches your ability to translate. And one of the things that's very important is you roll the dice and you don't know, and you put them back. You say, I don't know. That's really important, and that's critical to growing. So I got them out, and I'm really glad I found them. And I want to bring them up for a minute or two when Rebecca Bloom, the tarotist, is here, because she just makes the cards jump. And we're going to be talking about how that moment is special and how the moment speaks to us. And I actually think I could read tea leaves. I don't care what it is, because it's not the thing you're reading. It's the moment. But anyhow, I really encourage you to get some. You can get them cheap and start with your friends with questions. And maybe you'll only be able to answer the planet in the sign. You won't be able to answer it in the house. But start doing it. You're just not going to get this muscle strong unless you start exercising it. Okay? So those are my pre-topics. I have red coffee grounds for Arabic coffee. Well, I have no doubt. Good evening, Miss Karen. Now we got both our Karens. Anyhow, I'm sure they make pictures. I think I could just turn everybody off and have an evening discussion with Erica, because she's just so darn interesting. Anyhow, tonight is your show, Erica. Tonight is about May 15th, and Uranus is going into Taurus. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you what it means, and Uranus going into Taurus for 7 years is very difficult to talk about, because Taurus is not very receptive to having a wild planet like Uranus there. But that's where it's headed. And we're also going to wrap up the 7 years of Uranus having been in Aries. So on March 15th, it's going to switch over. And Karen, I found a wonderful way on Solar Fire today to show just Uranus and Pluto. And it automatically, if I look for Scorpio, it puts 0 Scorpio on the ascendant, and all the house cups become 0, and it puts Pluto in the right place and Uranus in the right place. So I don't have to do the graphics anymore. I'm going to show you how we do it live. So to start off, I'm not going to go through a long, boring talk. We are halfway through this El Pluto going through Capricorn, and it's the story of stories. Certainly the most important story in the last 50 years. Pluto going through Capricorn is what's caused us to have corruption being revealed, also questioning everything, barring the fact that we got a Pluto return in the United States chart, barring the fact that Pluto's opposite the sun in the United States chart, just the fact that Pluto's been going through Capricorn for the whole planet. And we've got till 2023. So, I'm not going to spend the time with you to explain what Pluto's been doing to you, because it's throughout my literature. I've written about it. Liza has too, all on our website, a lot of videos about it. but I'll be refreshing you about it tonight in terms of what's Uranus going to do to add to the picture. That's what so many astrologers don't do. They analyze how well you twirl, but they don't tell you that the guy's twirling inside the elevator. That's the difference. Oh, what a marvelous twirl. Look at the twirl that person just made. And boy, they just did this double, triple move. Okay, well, let's zoom back and see they're doing inside the elevator. Whole story changes. Oh, this one's out in the parking lot. Completely different. That's what happens when you start combining. There's a tendency in astrology to itemize everything. It's my Jupiter. It's my Mars and Pluto. It's this. They're all breathing organic parts of this whole, that's the whole psyche of the planet, and also down to your microcosm, just you. So, I think you will enjoy tonight. I've done very little prep work, as usual, because I want to think off the cuff and show you how it's done. So I'll begin by showing you what's going to happen to the planet. Okay? When you do something astrological for the whole planet, you're dealing with 0 Aries. Now, what I'm going to tell you now is true for the Aries. It's also true for the planet because it's the first sign. And we will share that screen now. And you will see here. Okay. Do you see what I'm talking about? I have told Solar Fire to show just Uranus and Pluto. I have told it to use whole signs, house types. What house types? Not Placidus, not Coke, but whole signs. And I've asked it to show me 0 Aries on the first house. This is going to be, matter of fact, I moved it forward to get Uranus showing up here. The real split second that Uranus goes into Taurus is several minutes before this. And if you were to do a chart of that moment, now what's the capital of the planet? The capital of the planet is Greenwich, England. Has to be. The chart would have to be done for Greenwich. The moment Uranus enters Taurus, that chart would foretell us, with all the other planets, what's going to happen the next 7 years. One of the sub-stories. So you see that for the next 7 years, Pluto is going to continue its work. It's been in here since 2008. Pluto's coming through Capricorn. Let me try something else here. No, that won't work. Okay, so you're going to have to imagine. You're going to have to imagine the whole sign of Capricorn is here. The whole sign of Aquarius is here, etc. This is the beginning of Aries. Okay, so Pluto has been stirring things up in the 10th house for all of us. And for so many people, we think it's our job and our calling. But what Pluto has really been doing in Capricorn for the last 8 years is having us question our citizenship. Are we good citizens to the earth? I don't care what your government is. Have we been good stewards to the planet? Number one thing Pluto picks on is abuse of power. It's a marvelous planet if you start to humble yourself and take blame for what you've done, and you want to turn things around. It's a marvelous planet for that, and you see that happening everywhere. But now what's happening, we've just had 7 years of Uranus going through Aries. Now we're going to go into another chapter, Uranus going through Taurus. So we need to go back to May of 11. I believe it's May 27th or 23rd of 2011 when Uranus entered Aries. Now that was really explosive because that's a new zodiac. It enters a new zodiac every 84 years. Uranus is pretty like clockwork. It's 7 years per sign, 84 years around. And right when it went in is when you had all the Arab Spring. You get the revolutionary power of Uranus going into the sign of Aries saying, woo, let's do it. came out of 7 years of sleepiness in Pisces, where it did other types of things. But it went into Aries, and that's why you saw all these rebellions. Now, what is the real rebellion of Uranus about? Uranus is about the individual. Are you able to be an individual? Are we protecting individuals' rights? It's an extremely idealistic planet. And this is why you've seen good, bad, and ugly types of revolutions. Well, then what happened when it got about 2/3 through, it snuck up and hit this brick in the wall. It hit this humongous sensitive spot 2/3 of the way through Aries. It was sitting there hiding, called Eris, the goddess of discord. Seen any of that? That's what we're really dealing with. We're dealing with all this stuff, but we are dealing with Uranus conjunct Eris, and now they're starting to separate, which when you start to really see the productive part of it. And Eris, I'm still learning about it. We are learning about it. It takes astrologers years to ascertain the real descriptors. But she's fed up. She's the one who wants to be heard. What has Aries been? Aries is your identity. So I was thinking tonight, I was telling Liza before I came on, you don't hear this anywhere, but it needs to be done. And I really need to write a book about this. I would write more books if I found a way to keep Amazon's fingers off it, because they own everything. Uranus has been in Aries and it's going into Taurus, and it's not that simple. And this is shown to you if you read deeply in the exquisite zodiac. What has it been doing in Aries? What is it doing in Taurus? And the exquisite zodiac shows you it explodes out of Aries and explodes into more. It morphs into the next sign. It has to. It's painful. It's explosive, but it's going to die if it doesn't. It's going to die. And that's why you see such a dramatic change between Aries nature and Taurus nature, and between all signs. Dramatic shift. You're going from a fire sign into an earth. You're going in from a cardinal sign into a fixed sign. So when we get to May, we're not only going to see Uranus going into Taurus, we're going to see what Arroyo's told us about planets leaving signs or houses. They stop at the edge. When they're going through a sign or a house, they stop at the edge and they turn around to the crowd and they give that crowd a montage. They give that crowd a message. They give them a nuclear bomb that's contains all of what it did while it was in Aries. So what it was doing in Aries was, on the good side, hey, I need to be heard. Look at me. On the bad side, me, 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 me. This is why you got a lot of the selfie maniacs for 7 years. I can't get more 600 pictures of myself today. I need some more. That's the bad side. When it crosses into Taurus, it crosses, as the exquisite zodiac says, because it can't continue to fly around for 7 more years. It's got to get grounded. That's why Taurus comes in. Well, I know how fancy you were, Rocket Man, and you were flying all around, and you were enamored by yourself and flying with one hand and taking selfies with the other. Woo! We all understand what Aries is about, but now it's time to get grounded the next 7 years. And as Uranus goes into Taurus, there's too much focus on money in Taurus. It's true, money and valuables, but Taurus is about self-worth. It's about value. What do you value? What is your value? So as it goes into Taurus, it's going to get grounded because it's getting tired up there flying around. And the whole shift is going to take place of Uranus going into Taurus. You're going to see shifts with all things Taurian, such as money, such as farming, such as Bitcoin, all these different things that John's so good explaining these things better than I. But the point is, you're going to see, you're going to be so focused on Uranus going into Taurus, you're going to forget the finale's got to come around March 14th. And what does the finale sound to you like with Uranus leaving Aries? It sounds like war. I hope I'm wrong. If it's not war, it could very well be a big statement about war, etc. But let's move on. So we see what's really going to happen to mankind. Hello, Suzanne. We see what's going to really happen to mankind is as Pluto's continuing its work up here, its major reconstruction in the 10th house, now we're going to start to shift to second house matters. And as I told you in the book, the zodiac is a prism. It's a prism of life. That's why you can put things in the first house and look through that prism, and it looks different than another prism. The zodiac itself is a 12ther, a 12ther. It's like the thing you put on a pie. You get 12 pieces of pie, you lift it up. That's what it does. But it's no picnic at the cusp. Violent things are happening. Transformative things are happening. So, let's start with Aries, because the story I'm going to tell you about Aries is the story of the world. So as Pluto has been in the 10th house for Aries people, and what we're going to do is put all signs here. We're going to shift all 12 signs to the beginning of the first house, and you'll see Pluto rotate, and you'll see Uranus rotate as we go through all 12. They're all going to stay in a square aspect. What did I say? Trine. What's wrong with me? Oh. It's squaring by degree, but it's trine by sign. So it's 9 degrees from a square, but the fact that Capricorn and Taurus are trine, so it's going to have some of the trine aspect to it, some of the square aspect to it, kind of counteracting. So what Pluto's been doing in the 10th, and most Aries don't have trouble with this, it's been saying, get with your job, go up, put your best foot forward, go make your motions, suggest what you need to be, don't be shy, go forward. Put your flag in the ground, claim your position. Well, Aries people don't have trouble doing that. And when I say Aries people, hello, Susan, hello, everybody. I'm not talking about every Aries you know. I'm talking about the general thematic archetypal part of Aries. And in general, Aries aren't shy. They don't mind putting their flag in the ground, taking your stance. Now, Uranus is going into Taurus for them. And Uranus in the second house, it means revolution in self-worth. So while you're busy putting your flag in the soil, this is time for you to get your revolution of your self-worth. You see any of that happening, women? Oh, it's time, and boys, this time we've been reporting this stuff, but you know, society is finally ready. They don't have any idea the planets are behind this. They're one and the same. They're one and the same. So Uranus going through Taurus is, excuse me very much, but I will take care of myself. Excuse me very much, but I will decide how I feel about myself within my own head. Thank you. And that's what's going on. Thank God. Excuse me very much. I will assign how valuable I am within my own decision. I will listen to you maybe. I will read this maybe, but I will decide. And it's not a maniacal, greedy kind of thing. It's, I'm worth something. This is the main reason. And you would not be having this revolution that you're having in public right now, besides the two other things that are helping it. Pluto's in Capricorn, and Uranus has just gone over Aries. We've just found Aries, Mama. She's the disgruntled, discordant female. She wants to be heard from. You're going to leave her out of the party? I don't think so. That's her archetype, her mythology. You're not inviting me to the party? Well, let's have a talk about that. Let's see. That's what she's about. Me too. Time's up. And I'm sorry, I'm playing the littlest violin I could find for men. I really don't care. I really don't care. I have compassion, but men have known what they've done to women all these years. It's understandable back in the cave days when they had to chase the mammoth and the woman had to take care of the baby and the cooking. Makes sense. That's why the male's body's bigger. But I really don't care because of what you've done to this world. I don't care. So hopefully when you women start crossing your legs and start saying no, these men will start to get the message. You know, and you're seeing more and more and more women that are not here to please the man anymore. We're watching reruns in the 1950s and 60s of Father Knows Best and all this. And, you know, the women are bowing down to these guys. These days are over. And it's all leading to something healthier, and that's what's wonderful. So let's move on. And as we move on, you'll start to see the picture, how it shifts per sign. Okay, but I don't see much trouble with the Aries. I think they're going to just zoom on through it, which is what they like to do anyway. So let's go look at how Taurus works. So you simply go over, you solar fire people, you simply go over and you change your wheel style. And one of the wheel styles is SSO2. I'm not sure what that means. Change it to Taurus. Now, boom. All of a sudden, we've got Taurus rising. That's what we're examining. What you're examining, we put right here, and we put the prism on top of it. Now we see that transiting Pluto for all Tauruses has been and continues to be a 9th house thing, and now they're getting a 1st house Uranus. Well, what's Pluto been doing to Tauruses, which is kind of hard to tell? They're not all like John. It's been a philosophical revolution. The 9th house is philosophy, travel, long distance, personal relationships with others aboard, political things. So while they're going through that shift, which are things that are not usually Taurian, now Uranus is coming to their sign. Boom. So Uranus is entering at the same time. It's going to stay 7 years. Now, what's Uranus going to do when it goes through your sun sign? Now remember, you may have a little diagram around your neck, but your sun sign means that you have the sun in a sign. The sun is the creative part of you. I don't care what your sign is. The sun is your creative energy. And when you talk to Leos who are ruled by the sun, they talk all about they want to go draw something. They want to go play a guitar. They want to perform. They want to release this solar energy. So you Tauruses are going to find yourself more energetic than usual. You're going to find yourself wanting to create more, etc., etc. But where the problem comes in, existentially, is Tauruses don't like change. And Uranus is a fanatic about change. Oh. Right? Now, if you're sitting near the door, like your sun is in the early degrees, 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, you're going to get that door. It's going to smack you in the ear on May 15th. It's not coming from out there. And this is what Tauruses don't want to hear, and most signs don't want to hear. It's coming from in here. You are connected to all this stuff, whether you like it or not. And we all say, oh, that's cool and groovy. We like it. We don't like it. We don't like it. We want to be in control. That's got to go, huh, Elke? I see a little smile on her face. So what will happen, to be realistic, and you got to be around a while and test the waters, is you get a little bit of both. The Tauruses will get a little bit better. Well, I can give up this chair. I've had this chair 37 years. Maybe I could get a new one. You know? You're going to need to re-anchor yourself. Uranus in Taurus. I was anchored just fine down there moored in the docks for 35 years. I don't care. the weather has changed. You got to lift the anchor, take the boat somewhere else, bitch about it, and put the anchor down somewhere else. And within a couple weeks, you put your butt down in that chair and you'll feel fine. So you got the bitching and complaining in the antithetical Uranian change working with the Taurus. Same. So that's where the friction's going to come in with them. But you see what's really happening is as they renew themselves, Uranus in the first, they're going to assist that Pluto, which has been sitting in the ninth. So Pluto's been up in the ninth trying to change things philosophically, but you can't change things philosophically and leave your life the same. You can't just talk. One of the things about the ninth house is you got to talk your talk. You got to walk your walk. So that's one of the things you're going to see. So all in all, with Taurus people, you're going to see them starting to change, and they're going to start putting their money where their mouth is. And getting a Taurus to put their money anywhere is a real trick, because they really want to hold on it and hide it in a hole in the ground and look both ways. And boy, we got Cameron over there going, See, I get most movement from people's heads who've lived with Tauruses. They're just as wonderful and awful as all 12 signs. Gemini. You're getting the idea. I can't cover everything, but you're getting the idea. As you do more of these, you'll see more. Melody, it's wonderful to see you upside down, dear. And I really am not sure how you're hanging from the ceiling, but I'll take it even upside down. Right. Now we go to Gemini. We skip the Gemini, we repaint the screen. Boy, my spoiler. There we go. So for Gemini people, Pluto has been in their 8th house. Now let's talk about that. That's been a very uncomfortable thing for them, because the 8th house is the deepest part of emotion. And Gemini's the sign that doesn't want to go there. So they've had to deal, much like Libra, Geminis, they've had to deal with emotion in these last 8 years, and it's been uncomfortable because Gemini is pre-emotion. It's a sign before Cancer. Doesn't mean they don't have feelings, but it's pre-emotion. They're not real strong with it, which is one reason you see Trump avoiding feelings and touchy-feely stuff. It's one reason. Okay, so their Pluto in the 8th has been trying them in the last 8 years about, you got to take emotional responsibility for your relationship. Don't talk around this. Don't gab around this. You got to take emotional responsibility. Are you in a relationship? All right, well then relate. Well, if you're in a relationship and you say you love me, then give me some love. Can't talk about the idea, the theory of love. And that's been the problem that they're in. And it's tough. It's tough one, Gemini. But now what are you seeing? You're seeing that Pluto is going to continue. And I better make sure of myself here because I don't want to do it wrong. Yeah, Uranus is going into the 12th. This is going to be even harder. Well, why? Because the 12th house is a deeply unconscious place. So Uranus is going to start digging up their old self, their past lives, their unconscious, their habits, all this stuff, trying to help them with the Pluto stuff in the 8th house. This is not going to be simple. And you're going to see tonight, some signs are going to have this easier than others by the very nature of mixing their sign with Pluto and Capricorn with Uranus in Taurus. Now, for the Gemini who's intellectually adventurous, and you're seeing now, since Pluto's going through Capricorn, all Geminis have become better in the last 8 years at digging deep into their feelings. So they're going to be more ready for the unleashing. Uranus is going to dive into that 12th house and unleash them. And boy, we've got Uranus on the West Coast because I've got an upside down view. I just love it. And I'm sure it's okay, sweetheart. We're just so glad you're here. I don't care. No, I don't want. You're going to have to put it upside down. If you need to be upside down to see us right, that's okay. I'm just poking fun at you. It's funny. I got a lot of people call me and I see their wall or their desk because so many people are using tablets and they can't get the camera reversed. I'm talking to them and I'm looking at a picture of their desk. I say, well, put a mirror up. So anyhow, you see the point. Pluto is going to continue through the 8th house, trying to get them. The 8th house is my worth is changed and shaped by me mixing with you. My worth is shaped by me mixing with you. Forget this other people's money. The shallow descriptions. Now, they can't really say it because they're not built to really understand at this level, but it's happening. Uranus going through their 12th, they're going to be getting, they may even be going to psychologists and digging deep into their roots, finding out what has caused these things. So all in all, it can be very healthy. Now this next one's going to be really intriguing. Getting to Cancers. Let's take a look at this. And it says, thou shalt be upside down. Okay. Let's take a look at this. Wheel star will go to Cancer. All right. Now you're seeing these poor Cancers have been dealing with Pluto opposite their sign for so long, and now Uranus is going into their 11th. Well, let's deal with this for a while because the United States is a Cancer, and the Cancers are Cancers, and they're dealing with Pluto over here. Okay, here's the difficulty. Cancer is not made to relate. Cancer is made to take care of themselves. Cancer, I take care of me. Across the zodiac, Capricorn, I take care of us. I take care of me. Capricorn, I take care of us. Cancers take care of their immediate circle. And somebody as lovely as Melody has so much Leo and she has Aquarius, she's not a typical. And the same with Elke. There's so many universal planets in their chart. They're different story, but the typical Cancer is very satisfied to stay in their safe bubble with their family. And that's what Pluto's been doing to Cancer for 7 years, saying, no, you can't stay in your bubble. I had one come to my office the other day. Everything I asked her, she turned to her father. I'm asking you the question. She turned to Dad. She didn't realize. Oh, I love your dad too, but I'm not talking to your dad. I'm talking to you. And I was at their house. I was reading for this young 26-year-old Cancer girl. Looking at Dad. Cancers buffer themselves with their family. That's the nature of the sign. Nothing wrong with it. It needs to do that. So Pluto's been pounding on them the past 7 years. And I can tell by staying in close contact with Melody. Melody has bravely had to come out and really deal with herself as an individual. And she's had to really transcend Cancerian tendencies to hide in the group or the family. She's taken them on. She's had courage. And that's what Pluto does. It brings you courage. It doesn't just challenge you. It brings you courage. And it's nervous, I said, to put that little pony away and get on that stallion. It's nervous, but boy, you start riding that guy, you're not going to put you back on the pony now. So that's what's been happening to the United States. Pluto in the 7th house questions your whole entire ability to relate to others. And if you can't zoom back and see that that's what really is changing in the United States, then we got a problem, and we do have a problem because so many people still don't see it. Because we're Americans, we're always right. So why is the 7th house being exercised? It's being exercised because I am who I am in Cancer, and when I'm with you, I cannot change the way I am with you unless I change the way I am. And I can't change the way I am unless I change the way I am with you. That's why 7th house stressors are so strong. So that's been the basic picture for Cancers. And by now, it's getting a little easier for them. But it's not easy because they're not made for this level of intellectual, emotional pressure. So now we look and we see what else. We go to the chart and we see Uranus is moving into the 11th house. Okay, so let's take a look at that. The 11th house is glibly known as friends and groups and associations and ideals. Well, it's really a shame because, once again, house definitions are just too shallow. The 11th house are your higher dimensions, almost like a bucket list. Higher dimensions of you. It's stuff you don't want to do by yourself. You want to get your groups and buddies together. You know the rush you get when you do with something with a group? That's the rush of the 11th house. And it's commonly worked out through friendships. So this friendship is something that is foreign to Cancer. Not that Cancers aren't friendly. Cancers are family people, where it's safe. It is not Cancerian to reach past your bubble. And the 11th house with Uranus in it is going to allow them that risk. They're going to start coming out from underneath the rock. The crab is going to come out from underneath the rock. He's going to say, well, it ain't that bad out here. I think I'll stay 5 minutes and go back. And it's not going to happen dramatically. It's going to happen little bits by little bits by little bits. And if they don't do it, then what happens? The bad astrologer says, well, if they don't do it, they're going to have all this chaos in their life. Like you made a mistake. It's not what happens. The good astrologer, if they don't do it, they're going to start having turmoil because their insides want to do it. The insides want to go to the playground with some new kids. Can't you stay at home and be careful now? Nobody hurt your feelings. But in the Uranus part of us is saying, hey, I want to go, I want to try. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. But you better stay home. You better not. So you see, that's why the turmoil happens, is because the self is saying one thing and the ego is saying something else, which has caused repression. And that's why you will get those type of events in your life. You will get people stopping you. You will get people stopping your ideas. People squashing you. They will squash your ideas. They'll push you into a corner because it's reflective of what you're doing in your own temple. That's what it's all about. So if they use it correctly, and you don't usually use it right away because it's a foreign energy, it's dramatic, it's powerful, they'll start to feel through these next 7 years, hey, I want to try something, and Uranus is very famous for hanging out with people that are much younger, much more liberal, much more fun. Get me away from these people that are too careful, too cautious. So that theme is going to pick up. And you can see as they start to pick up and become looser, they'll start to solve their first house, 7th house Pluto opposition. It will help them become loosey-gooser in their relationships in the 7th house, which is what the whole story is about anyway. And were we starting to get the idea at all here with the nods and heads? Are we? Okay. If you're really not getting it, go like this. Okay, I'm working hard here, trying to get through to you. Leos. We switch over to wheel style. We pick Leo. Now, look at that. Boy, they're going to love that Uranus at the top of the chart, aren't they? What have they been doing? The Leos have been Pluto in the 6th house. They're going to love this. Woo, I get to show off my new MC Hammer clothes. Woo, right? Pluto's in the 6th. So I've written about this years ago, what would happen when Pluto goes into the 6th. It's not somebody's chart. It's the chart of Leo itself. Somebody just texted whose chart. It's the chart of all Leos as an archetype. Pluto in the sixth has been doing what for these people? They've been working on their health. I got to get my heat adjusted here. They've been working on their health. And the sixth house is they've been working on new job skill sets that will prepare them to meet the public with a new role. That's what they've been doing. Now that Uranus gets to Taurus in the midheaven, Uranus is the planet. If you want to put one word by Uranus, do this. Very important that you remember these words. Uranus is the planet that shows you that you are ready. All of a sudden, Uranus is always all of a sudden. It always happens at that certain minute. It's exact. You become ready. What does Uranus at the top of the chart mean? Well, the top of the chart's really pretty simple. Most people talk about your job and career, but that's really not what it is. It's true, but what it really is you're calling back to God. It's your calling. So in your job and in your career, you're going to be ready, Karen DeBerry. You're going to be ready to put your flag out. You're going to be ready to put your book out. You're going to be ready where you strained and strained and strained till then, and you weren't quite ready. You're not going to shove me through the door. You're not ready. Well, when Uranus hits there, now keep in mind, when it hits 0 Taurus, it's going to affect all of the fixed signs. It's going to hit Scorpio straight across. It's going to hit Aquarius and Leo. So anybody's got any planets in those 4 signs, they're going to be Uranianized. That word's in the dictionary. Well, if you could say it better, you try. Uranized. I don't know. So Uranus in the 10th is very strong and very possible. So if you're an Aquarius, would you even notice? Very good question, Susan. In a lot of ways, you would not notice. But remember, we haven't gotten to Aquarius yet. So when we get to Aquarius, bring that question back up. Certainly, if you have a lot of Aquarius in your chart and Uranus comes by, you got a blue-green wall and it's painted blue-green. You don't notice. Okay, let's move on to, I think the Leos are going to do well. Now anytime you talk about an Earth sign, you got to kind of stutter Virgo, because Earth signs don't want to get up in the winds of change. Earth signs want to stay planted in the Earth. So we got possible trouble with Virgo, right? Sorry, I can't answer all the chats. I got to stay with the story. And hopefully we'll run into your question. Now let's take the chart and go to, not the chart, the wheel style, and go to Virgo. All right, so where's Pluto been? Pluto's been in their 5th house, and that's been very tough for them. Uranus is now coming into their 9th. Pluto's been very tough in their 5th house, and I'll tell you why. Pluto in the 5th is about, okay, quit holding it inside and express yourself. Well, that is anti-Virgoan. Virgos don't like to express themselves except in their beautiful piece of wood that they're sanding. Right, Susan? I'm watching you all. I'm going to see if you're all awake on me. Pluto in the 5th has been hard because it's the house of express yourself. It's okay. But built into Virgo is the whole theme that Karen struggles with. The fight between the Leo and the Virgo. The Leo wants on stage. The Virgo says, get off stage. The Virgo doesn't want on stage, and the Leo says, get up on stage. Well, they're both necessary. So the Pluto going to the 5th, for all you Virgos, the past 8 years, you have become better at expressing yourself. The 5th house is not, it's not the Marx Brothers. It just means express yourself. Say what you have to say. create. Well, Virgos are shy about that because they just can't stand show-offs. And Virgos really need to learn that sometimes when you paint something beautiful, you show everybody, that's not showing off. They really need to learn that. Then they won't be so hard on anybody else that's showing their good stuff. Because when the sun shines, the sun is shining, and it's not bragging. The sun shines bragging when it doesn't want its light reflecting off anything else. That's the difference. So now, that whole Plutonian process, which is still going on in the 6th house, is going to pick up Uranus. Where did I say it was? In the 9th. Okay, so Uranus in the 9th is going to help because the 9th house, when planets go into the 9th house, you start to have a revolution up here. Your philosophy changes. Now it's Uranus and Taurus in the 9th. Okay? Uranus and Taurus in the 9th, which means Virgos are going to start to change their fundamental Taurus belief systems. 9th house. Change Uranus, fundamental Taurus belief system, 9th house. If you stay close to the ground where the roots are, then your translations will be more accurate. This is why Ninka was telling me earlier that she's studying so much of Rick Tarnas, because Tarnas is so excellent at teaching you at that archetypal level, right at the seed level. And that's how people will say to me, God, it's like you're living with me. How do you know this stuff? Well, it's because I'm not out there swinging around the lamppost. I'm dealing with you at a very deep level where these things are probably true. So with the Virgos, you're going to see they're going to become more assisting. It's going to become easier for them to express themselves because they're going to start feeling okay about changing their philosophy. You see, this is how you do the real stuff. Now let's move to the 2nd half of the zodiac. And we'll go into Libra. Okay, in the Libras. For those of you just tuning in, this is shown every Friday on YouTube under my channel, Rick DiClemente. And also, if you would like to join us on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock, you can always go to my website, starself.com/unplugged, and that will give you the link so that you can join us for free live on Thursdays at 8 Eastern. Now, you see, the Libras have had it tough because Pluto's been in their 4th, and now Uranus is going in their 8th. So you're getting double water. You're getting 4th house water, emotion, 8th house emotion. And Libras aren't built for emotion. So it's not been simple for them. And I'll tell you what, I think if I've learned anything in the past couple of years, Libra is a really impressive sign. I see a lot of them showing the dark side, there's no doubt. But Libras are tough people. They're very tough. They're resilient. They land on their feet. And they are opposite Aries. And they are the Aries of the 2nd half of the zodiac. Pluto's been very tough, just like I told him 10 years ago. Pluto's entering your 4th house. I knew it would be tough. Why? Because Libras are intellects. Air cardinal. Libras are ideal leaders. Ideal leaders. I just read the wonderful book by Daniel Quinn called Ishmael. Fabulous. He's teaching you how to think. He's teaching you how we got here socially because of the way we think. That's what Libras are. They're social thinker leaders. John Lennon. Well, Pluto's been in their 4th house. It's not been allowing it. Why? Because the Pluto part inside their soul wants out. And it's too easy in an air sign to glib over something. It's too easy to use your fancy little smooth words over top of something when you're feeling something like this. That's Pluto. Pluto has the intense feelings. And Libra likes everything so smooth and nobody rocky and nobody too intense. So let's just say nice words. Well, you've had that conflict going on. So Libras are tough, they're strong, they're really winners. So in the last 8 years, they've become a lot better at dealing with deeper emotions because they're only an inch away from Scorpio. They've already been through Cancer. They're not made to be very emotional, but they can handle a lot better. And remember, a lot of Libra people have planets next door in Scorpio. But the difficulty is that they've not had their airness supported. They've been pressured towards becoming more emotional. And I've watched a lot of relationships blow up with Libras in the past 8 years. And they are with the ones who won't deal with their emotions. They want to keep dealing with how pretty the house looks, how pretty their girlfriend looks, how nice their job is. And if Pluto is not going to buy it, won't do it. Somewhere in the midst of all this mess, there's got to be one guy right there who settles things, and that's Pluto. Pluto's the guardian of true evolution. So for the ones that didn't get burned down, a lot of them went from relationship to relationship to relationship, and they became more and more and more unreal, those poor souls. But for the other ones who've started to grow emotionally and take on their power and value the emotional relationship, not just a pretty girl on my arm, but value the intensity. Those ones have done great, and they're going to go very far. And where did we see Uranus is in the 8th? So Uranus in the 8th is they're trying to progress Pluto in the 4th. They're trying to progress with their emotional basis. And Uranus in the 8th means, well, I need to open up and re-look at this whole 8th house stuff, which is emotional sharing. And the really good thing that it's doing for me, and I think they could be one of the most victorious in this group, is Uranus going to the 8th gives them a sense to look at themselves, because Libras are not made to look at themselves. They're made to look at us. Us. My partnership, my partnership, my partnership. Well, after a while, that's a cop-out. Because after all, you're not just a partnership. You are an individual in a partnership. And you need to have the strong self. And Libra is not built for strong self. Libra is built for strong us. So the Uranus going into the 8th house is going to help with that. It's going to help them go do something for themselves, feel okay about it. In other words, Libras are usually scared to death that they're going to rock the boat in the stability of the relationship. And they can restrict themselves a lot because of it. Well, with Uranus in the 8th, they're going to feel freer about going, about being a little more free with that whole thing. I think it's going to really help. Remember, we're going to get to a point where this will end and you can ask questions, but I'm huffing and puffing and I got a lot more to do yet. It's just the way it goes. All right, now we go see Scorpio. Scorpios had Pluto in the 3rd, now they got Uranus in the 7th. I don't think this is going to be a big deal at all. Pluto in the 3rd has been changing. The 3rd house is your mind, the mental computer. The way the mind works, the way you think. And I don't think they've had much trouble since Pluto is their ruler. Pluto's been talking to their mind, making their mind more Plutonian, deeper, delving, psychological. I don't think they have much trouble with that at all. Now Uranus is in the 7th. And then Uranus in the 7th is all about, I want to start relating to some people that are different than what I'm used to. I want to hang out with some young people. I want to try some new things. I want to meet some new, fresh people. So I think it's going to work out smoothly. So do you see how one sign's getting bombarded, another one's not too bad? That's how the archetypes mix. That's why you can't go anywhere until you understand each archetype. You just got to understand each one the best you can. Okay? But I don't think the Scorpios are going to have much trouble with this. Now, if they have been in an unfortunate type of Scorpio relationship where they got the person trapped emotionally, then it's going to blow up. Because Uranus is in the 7th house. And Uranus will not put up with somebody being tied. So you're forewarned, Scorpios. You're forewarned that a relationship only works when the two people are relating through their freedom. If they're doing it through guilt and manipulation, it's going to blow up. On to Sag. Susan, a very our favorite subject. We're going to talk about Sagittarius. Watch how this pretty picture comes up. All right. Sagittarius. I'm going to skip over Capricorn, by the way. Okay. Pluto in the 2nd house, Uranus in the 6th. I don't think this will be bad at all. Pluto in the 2nd. Well, what's Pluto been doing in the 2nd house the last 8 years? It's been redoing your entire sense of self, your sense of worth, your entire, what is it called? Getting your priorities straight. I guarantee you that every Sag out there has changed their priorities completely than they were 8 years ago. Because the 2nd house just makes you, what does it really mean? You know, what does it really mean? Pluto's famous for, well, I got 3 kids and I'm leaving them a third each. Well, Pluto's transits are famous for, nah, this guy never calls me. You're getting half, you're getting half, you're getting nothing. Pluto's famous for that because it's glued to what's real. Do you really care? So I think the Sagittarius have been dealing pretty well. I think at first it could have been a little difficult with Pluto in the 2nd because Sag is similar to Gemini. They don't like going real deep. But I think they all in all have bent towards that pretty well, my observation. And now with Uranus going through the 6th, is that right? Yeah, through the 6th. With Uranus going through the 6th, which is reviving your work skills and reviving the way you take care of yourself and getting ready to go out and meet people in a new vein, I think that's going to really ease you up too. So don't be surprised in March or May. Don't be surprised all of a sudden that party is going to want to go out and make TPs and sell them on the internet. Don't be surprised some crazy idea comes through. Especially Sag, because Sag, we can make money at this. Yeah, woo! So be ready for that. So if you're married to a Sag, you better hide the wallet for a little bit because they're going to be convinced, woo, we can do this. Oh, who said that Donald Trump had a lot of Sagittarius in him? Nah. Use the word deal in every sentence. Deal. That's bad deal. That's good deal. I can make deals. So, the good side is the Sagittarius are going to be feeling renewed at trying new techniques. It's always about learning new job skill sets. So, Susan, you're a wonderful artist, but and both you Susans are, when Uranus hits your 6th house, you're going to want to start trying some crazy stuff. And it's always try this, try that. I remember when I played guitar and Uranus hit me, I put my guitar down. I put the book down. I was tired of playing everybody else's song, and I just started making up songs. I was reading the words off a beer bottle, just making up blues songs. We wanted to live on the edge of spontaneity. Uranus, that type of thing is definitely what rap music is. Living on the rhythm on the edge. So that kind of thing's coming your way, and I don't see much trouble with it. Now, I'm going to do this with looking through my fingers here because we're getting to El Capricorn here, back to another Earth sign. Remember, Pluto's been moving through Capricorn. All right? For all these years. Don't I know it? Here's Capricorn. Pluto's been moving through the first house, and now Uranus is going to move through the fifth. So I don't need to tell you, Pluto moving through the first house has been very tough, very grueling, and there's really one reason that it's hard on Capricorn. If the Capricorn's having trouble. Because Pluto requires you to act from your heart and mean it. You can't say the right words. You can't color in the box. You can't sign up for another country club. You got to mean what you're saying. Or you corrode. Why? Because you're corroding anyway, which is why you can't say it. Or a lot of Capricorns have gotten tougher, gotten deeper, gotten stronger, have transcended all the shoulds. They've become quality people. They've found their power and strength. Yes. Capricorn is not a lost cause. It's a tough cause. So Uranus is going through the fifth. And I think that's going to be really good for Capricorn because Capricorn is going to be encouraged to speak out. Now, I've never been known for speaking out. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. But Uranus in the fifth is going to make me want to revisit my guitar. And I told Liza I wanted to decorate the new house with photographs that we take. Instead of putting up stuff someone else took, put up our own pictures. And I think that's a good idea. So you Capricorns, I think it's going to be a shot in the arm. You're going to be encouraged to express yourself. And what I want to say to you is very clear. You are allowed to. No one will take your country club card from you if you do. You can express yourself. You're not going to get into trouble. It will be okay. That's what Capricorn needs to hear. Now, getting to the wonderful sign of Aquarius, which should be interesting. Pluto's been in the 12th and Uranus is at the bottom. Very intriguing. Pluto has been in the 12th house, and what's happening with a lot of you Aquarians in the past 8 years is you got the mind for it. You've dug up a lot of that deep psychological stuff, past life connections to angels, connections to spirit guides, all these different heavy-duty stuff, psychologies, is digging all that up. It's been resurfacing. Even people from your past have been resurfacing. Pluto's been very tough in your chart, but you guys can handle it because you have the strongest mind in the zodiac. Now, Uranus is going to hit your 4th house. Woo! That's the revolution at home. The 4th house. There, thank you very much, Melody. The 4th house is your emotional nest. It means so many things. There's probably no house in the zodiac more complicated than the 4th house because it represents your feelings, your property, your lineage, what you're tied to. And we're going to see these Aquarians, and what are they always trying to do? They're trying to liberate themselves from. So what Aquarians have been doing have been trying to liberate themselves from their unconscious, from things that tie them down. I mean, I do a lot of work with past life and see how people are getting clipped and getting released from past life ties. This is going to really help because Uranus is going to go into their 4th. But if you're like some Aquarians, and you do not want to deal with emotions, you're going to have a hell of a time. Okay? This is going to force you to open up the emotional self and look at it. And this could be really chaotic. And it's very simple. Why? Because the problem with Aquarians is that they're know-it-alls. And I don't mean show-off know-it-all. I don't mean arrogant know-it-alls. But their very sign is about, I know everything. I know how I see the world. I've spent a long time constructing it. It's how I see it, and it's right. Well, okay. Now, if you think that's going to facilitates you going through Uranus in the fourth, then good luck. Because Uranus in the fourth could care less about what you think. That's what's happening to Aquarians. You gotta start opening up and taking the lead from your emotions, or at least start including them in the dialogue. You see, Aquarians are very sure of themselves mentally. Air fixed. Air fixed. They all would benefit by listening to someone else's opinion more. Do you ever try to convince an Aquarian of anything? Not easy. Not easy. Uranus in the fourth is going to start to say to them, look, we have an emotional source and it's irrational. It's not logical, Mr. Spock. It's coming from another source. In actuality, when you think about irrationality, when you think about intuition, intuition's really sourced in intellect anyway. When you go really deep and you really study Mr. Taurus, intuitive movement, intuitive guidance is based upon a very, very deep intellectual knowledge. I mean, when Bobby Fischer kicked your ass on a chessboard and he saw 37 moves down the way what you were going to do, and he had you all tied up ahead of time, Fischer was very robotic. He had very specific reasons. He was a Pisces. You think he was doing it from intuition? You think that Einstein was doing it from intuition? They think they were, but it's really based upon tremendous amount of physical rational knowledge. So you don't want to play chess with him. And I know he's passed away, but you didn't want to. So what's wonderful about this, the final thing I'll say about you Aquarians, what's wonderful about this is the one thing you're going to need because you're going to run out of gas in Aquarius. You're the 11th sign. You're not the 12th. You're 11 for a reason. And you got to prepare for the 12th. And the 12th is when you drop your mind. It's when you lose your mind and you gain yourself. And you see that all this thinking, what has it gotten me? And you needed it, but you put that boat aside and you start to go on the intuition and you make that big gap. You bridge that big gap, which is the biggest gap in the exquisite zodiac, is the final gap between the super self in Aquarius to the non-self in Pisces. So I think they'll do okay, but they better be ready for looking at things in an emotional way, not just intellectual. Finally, we get to, at 20 after, we get to, isn't that nice of Pisces to always be volunteering to go last? Pluto is in the 11th house. It has been for a long time for them, and Uranus is coming into the third. Well, what Pluto has been doing in the 11th house, it's hard to see with them because they're really vague people. It's been pushing them towards a greater desire, hopes and wishes. What that means, hopes and wishes, is what you're really heading for, hoping for, big time, what you want to wrap your arms around, what kind of experience you want in this world. And with Uranus going into the third, that's going to really help them because Pisces people are not cerebral people. And Uranus going into the third, the house of the mind, it's going to renew. It's going to be like a brand new computer system. Nice, sharp, brand new computer system with no temporary files and no viruses. So it's going to help them go on their way, which is the 11th house. So all in all, what we're really seeing as I back up from this and bring closure and open for your questions, what we're seeing all in all is the Pluto in the 10th house for all of us is all these problems we're seeing. What are we going to do about the world? Well, now what's going to shift is this. We've had 7 years of Uranus in Aries. Now it's going into Taurus. So in the last 7 years, we had time to start revolting, having a revolution. We've allowed these things to stir in us. They're starting to come up. But now in Taurus, we're going to be eager and willing to start to come down to earth. What Liza calls so much grassroots campaigns. Okay, you got these far out ideas, but who's going to do the garden? And how are you going to do the garden? And how are you going to water? And how are you going to make sure everybody else gets a garden? You see the point? So that's what's going to happen. And when you got two planets like this shifting, it is such a major archetypal shift that it brings out many more permutations than this, that. Okay, I'm going to open it to you. I'm going to say goodbye to our friendly visitors from YouTube, from us Unpluggers. Have a good week, and we'll open it up and everybody can start eating. Thank you for joining us. We're on every Thursday. Remember, next Thursday will be my girl, Liza Jane Brown, talking about sharing ideas about the astrological, philosophical, spiritual, and practical aspects of death and dying and grieving. So you won't want to miss that if that is an area that's hot on your plate. Thank you for joining us.